Folks, welcome back once again to Adopt Africa. Breaking news this date, the 8th of October at 10 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States, the 8th of October 2020. Breaking news out of Washington, where approximately 90 minutes ago, CNN reported in an online posted story that Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, a representative from San Francisco, California, would be introducing a bill co-sponsored tomorrow, the 9th of October, Friday, with rabid Trump hater Jamie Raskin from Maryland's 8th Congressional District. What's this all about? Well, the bill is introduced to create a body to remove the president, Donald John Trump, from office under the 25th Amendment, supposedly because he's incapable of handling the office. Specifically, she's going to introduce this to deal with Trump's erratic behavior, as she terms it. And this, of course, is an effort to, once again, to fraudulently remove a duly elected president of the United States. We've seen the endless nonsense with the fraudulent Russia collusion narrative, the lies of the Steele dossier paid for by Clinton's campaign and channeled into the FBI and Justice Department by now deceased Senator John McCain, the utter nonsense of the fraudulent impeachment process, charging Donald John Trump with zero high crimes or misdemeanors, simply political objections to his policy, which, by the way, did the things that they were complaining he didn't do. It was actually Barack Obama who failed to deliver lethal self-defense weapons to the Ukrainians, sat by idly and allowed the Russians to annex the Crimea and to invade the eastern Ukraine, did nothing but except offer blankets and Band-Aids to the Ukrainians. Yet Donald Trump was accused of denying them, and he actually delivered lethal self-defense equipment to protect Ukraine against Russian advances. Yeah, it never ends, folks. It never ends. Well, this measure has absolutely no snowball's chance in hell of becoming law. Of course, it would need to have a concurrence of the cabinet and the vice president, and that's not going to happen. So what's this all about, ladies and gentlemen? Yet another fraudulent attempt to besmirch the president of the United States, a man who has done so many things for this country and for the world. We could run through a list of accomplishments. It's endless, all in the face of subterfuge, sedition, treasonous conduct by members of the Democratic Party and leftists around this country to undermine this presidency. Yet he's achieved so much. On Thursday, today, she stated that Trump appears to be in an altered state right now. And how exactly do you know this, Nancy? Have you been at the White House, or are you divining this from telephone calls like the president on Hannity or his tweets? Or where are you getting this from? He's in an altered mental state. There may be some impairment of judgment. Yeah, there's some impairment of judgment, ladies and gentlemen. That's Nancy Pelosi's judgment. She's the one who's impaired. Someone might want to take a look at her mental health. Ask if she's got questions about his capability to serve in the office. This is what Representative Pelosi had to say. What I said about the president was that we don't know if somebody who, I've not said this, I've quoted others to say that there are those who say that when you're on steroids and or you have COVID-19 or both, there may be some impairment of judgment. But again, that's for the doctors and scientists to determine. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever taken steroids, corticosteroids, or you've taken steroids for allergies, or you've taken steroids because you have asthma, you should be insulted by this lunatical comment by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. She absolutely has the temerity, the cheek, to say that someone taking steroids has impaired mental capacity. Are you serious? Do you realize you've just insulted tens of millions of asthmatics? In response, President Trump tweeted, "Crazy Nancy is the one who should be under observation. They don't call her crazy for nothing." Well, folks, that is interesting. CNN, the water carriers for the Democratic leftists who seek to undermine law and order and democratic governance and overturn the people's decision, said the following. The journalist here, this was Manu Raju and Carolyn Kelly at 8:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in their story offer the following. They say that Trump's voice sounded husky over the phone when he called Fox Business. Ooh, listen to the science. Listen to the science, folks. The science of CNN's faux journalist. Trump's doctor said that he had a high fever and received supplementary oxygen. Call the New York Times. Thank you for your medical analysis here. Does this pass for journalism? Does this pass for governance, serious governance, a member of Congress, the Speaker of the House, no less? Ladies and gentlemen, rather than seek to invoke the 25th Amendment, which is in place should the president have a stroke or be incapacitated with some sort of disease where they're incapable of making decisions. Rather than seek to invoke the 25th Amendment, why don't we take a look at something else that should be invoked here, ladies and gentlemen? If Nancy Pelosi desires to be in the realm of hyperbole and nonsense, let's talk about what's really going on here. This, ladies and gentlemen, from our Constitution. Each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and, with the consensus of 2/3, expel a member. Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2. Ladies and gentlemen, rather than the 25th Amendment of the Constitution, let's stick with the original document. Let's go with Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2. Now, it's only been used 5 times in the history of the House of Representatives. Traditionally, it's reserved for those as punishment for only the most egregious of crimes and conduct, such as treason or acts against the government. Specifically, the first time it was used against 3 people during the Civil War: John B. Clark, John W. Reed of Missouri, and Harry C. Burnett of Kentucky, who all fought for the Confederacy. They were expelled. Expulsion was used. Expulsion. Now, Pelosi and Maryland's 8th Congressional District Representative Jamie Raskin, a rabid Trump hater from the outset, who served in the Maryland House of Delegates and now is, in his first term, in the House of Representatives serving for Maryland. He's a rabid Trump hater. His first act as a member of the House of Representatives was to object to certifying the election of Donald Trump. That's right, folks. In June of 2017, he was the chief sponsor of another effort to create a commission to determine that Donald Trump was incapable of serving due to incapacitation. 3 years ago. Weeks and months after Trump became president. How can you take some jackass like this seriously? Yet he's back at it again. He and Pelosi on the 9th of October 2020 intend to introduce a bill which has zero chance of passing the House of Representatives, let alone getting on to the cabinet and the vice president, to determine that President Trump, who's perfectly lucid and capable and doing a brilliant job at the moment, just listened to an interview of him with Sean Hannity. I haven't listened to Sean Hannity in ages, but Trump was on, so I listened to it. Sounded perfectly healthy to me. This is yet again another attempt to diminish, destroy, undermine, mislead voters around the country. You know the other charges. He's a homophobe. Yet Donald Trump selected an openly gay man to be in his third most important diplomatic post in Berlin as our ambassador, Richard Grenell, and then chose him as the acting director of national intelligence. Yet he's a homophobe. What a bunch of nonsense. Donald Trump is a racist. Yet Donald Trump funded over $500 million, or $500 billion to the historically black colleges and universities. Signed executive order about sickle cell anemia. Signed criminal justice reform. Championed criminal justice reform, which has led to large numbers of black men who are incarcerated for drug offenses being let out of prison. Put the Second Chance Act in effect to give people who've been convicted of crimes an opportunity to return to society and participate in society. The list goes on and on and on of Donald Trump's accomplishments for black Americans. Yet he's a racist. Utter nonsense. We heard lying from Vice Presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris, in the debate last night, in which she claimed that Trump and Biden shut down 1 in 5 companies in this country, which is an utter lie. We know that. The list goes on and on. Everything they try. So what's at work here, folks? What is at work here? I'll tell you what's at work here. They're terrified, despite the press, including Fox News, carrying the water for them, perpetuating myths about fantastical comments about Biden is now 15 points ahead of Trump. This isn't even plausible, 15 points ahead of Trump. Suddenly doubles his lead over Trump. Implausible. With the press carrying their water, reporting all sorts of nonsense. CNN claiming that Kamala Harris, who lied about every single thing she said in the debate and did her own version of man-explaining, which is called woman-rupting, despite that, They claim that she won the debate. Utter lunacy for any objective observer. I'm not objective. I favor Mike Pence. But my analysis was objective as to what happened in that debate. And she lied endlessly. We can devolve and deconstruct all of these lies over and over again. But now Nancy Pelosi, in order to pollute the environment and give the impression Donald Trump is not capable of serving as president, comes up with this ludicrous 25th Amendment effort once again, which has no chance of passing. It's only an effort to distort the situation. Meanwhile, Joe Biden refuses to do an in-person debate. Ladies and gentlemen, the cheek of leftists and Democrats listening to the Washington bureau chief for the USA Today, Susan Page, once again carry the water as what's supposed to be an objective moderator in the debate. She carries the water for the Democrats and for Biden and Harris last night's debate. What did she do? Well, she made the statement, the fraudulent statement, that the president has refused to categorically support a peaceful transfer of power. Where does this lunacy come from? That's not even a question. Unless Trump has said he refuses to accept the results of an election, that is a non sequitur. It has nothing to do with reality. But we do know that the Democrats still refuse to accept the results of the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton is still whining and still butthurt that she was a horrible candidate and she was an abject failure yet again. She blew it against Obama in 2008 and lost her chance. And she had her clock cleaned by Donald Trump in 2016, and she can't accept it. Nor can the Democrats with their fake Russia collusion, with their fake impeachment, with their lies with the Steele dossier, with their fraudulent claim of a Muslim ban, which was not a Muslim ban, with their lies and their fraudulent media cohorts claiming that Donald Trump put children in cages by putting pictures up of the cages that the Obama administration put in place. It's ludicrous. Ladies and gentlemen, rather than invoking the 25th Amendment to find the president incapable of serving as the president, how about we use some common sense and reason and we ask the House of Representatives to invoke Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2 of the original Constitution, which says that each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. It is time to consider expulsion for Representative Nancy Pelosi. And while you're at it, throw in the rabid Trump hater, Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland's 8th Congressional District. Ludicrous? Sure. But so is the 25th Amendment, another effort to distort the outcome of an election. They do everything they can to steal an election. Ladies and gentlemen, the choice is clear. Whether you like Donald Trump, he's a cad, he's a bore, he's got bad manners, he's a bully. Yeah, so what? His opponents are far worse than that, and they have no plan for governance. Listen to Pence's listen to Harris last night in the debate with Pence. She's asked about what her plan is. She just runs platitudes. Oh, we're going to do contact tracing and a national strategy. Well, what is that national strategy? You didn't tell us, and you weren't asked. Even though you didn't answer the question, the moderator refused to bother to get you to answer the question, moving right along to Pence. Utter lunacy, folks. This is what we're living with. The 8th of October, it's now after 10 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States, and tomorrow on the 9th, Representative Nancy Pelosi and Jamie Raskin from Maryland's 8th Congressional District, a rabid Trump hater who in 2017 tried to introduce the same legislation to find President Trump incapable of serving in office because he's incapacitated. Just months after he became president 3 years ago. And now, knowing that we have less than 4 weeks left before an election, a la the Malian army, they seek a coup d'etat to overthrow the president through illegal means, but a coup d'etat nonetheless, a duly elected president on the spurious basis that he is incapacitated. I tell you, their thinking is incapacitated. It is time for the House of Representatives to look at Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2, and consider expulsion for this person who is undermining the governance of the United States on a daily basis. Nancy Pelosi. Folks, That's my thoughts. I'm sure it'll get some tongues wagging. You may agree or disagree, but there's no doubt that I am correct legally in what I'm stating. Article 1, Section 5, Clause 2 of the Constitution. The original Constitution, before the amendments came in, things like the 25th Amendment to modify our basic document of law. Jamie Raskin, Nancy Pelosi, the House of Representatives should consider expulsion for their conduct, which is detrimental to the national security of the United States. Folks, if you're not a subscriber to Chris White Africa, feel free to become a subscriber by smashing that subscription button right down there. Be sure to toggle the bell icon because, when YouTube gets around to notifying you, you'll get notifications of my live streams and other videos. And finally, if you'd like to leave a comment, feel free to do that. But finally, let me say, please smash the like button. Likes drive viewership. Folks, it's Orange Man Bad against Crazy Nancy. And there you have it, folks. Thanks a lot.